Hi everyone and welcome in today's video. As every month I ask you for suggestions and voting in a poll to pick a tutorial theme. This time you chose a real-time process of drawing face features such as eyes, noses and lips. I think it's gonna be a very pleasant and chill practice. I mean, just a simple exercise that you can use to fill your sketchbook. We're not gonna draw a full portrait, so there is no pressure to search for a perfect resemblance or something like this. So if you want, grab a pencil or whatever is your weapon of choice and draw with me. This is Talent's art creation sketchbook. As you know, it's one of my favorites. I like the paper thickness, the texture, or maybe smoothness actually, and the nice off-white color of the pages. As you can see, I'm using paper clip because I like to keep my pages flat. Okay, so let's start sketching eyes. I will attach all the reference photos to this post so you can practice with the same ones if you want. When I draw eyes, I always try to think about their anatomy and simplified construction. So eyeball is obviously a ball. So I don't start with drawing outer part of an eye, but inner construction on which I can place other elements later. When you have a ball, you can draw on it like on a basic shape of a head, because when you draw a portrait, you look for the central line, and on eyeball you can also try to find the central line, and it will help you to place an iris. Here it's slightly on the side, so as you can see, the iris won't be a perfect circle. It will be an oval. When you draw eyelids, always remember that they have their thickness, and also that the transparent cornea on the eye is convex where the iris is. So it's kind of pushes the eyelid to be more convex as well. So where the iris is looking kind of defines also the shape of an eye. Remember to not draw an eye like it was in the shape of fish or an almond, because an eye is not a symmetrical thing. So try to focus on the reference and see the shapes as they really are. First stage of drawing is usually searching of proportions and sizes, distances, shapes. So I'm drawing just with simple outline. Here I'm trying to estimate where the eyebrow should be placed. So as you can see, I'm drawing again a central line, how it moves on the 3D form of the eye. Also some distances from the eye to the eyebrow. I know I often have a tendency to draw eyebrow too far from the eye, so I know I need to focus on that. Here you can see that I'm adding simple shading. What is important is that it's not these are not the darkest parts of the picture. They are maybe more like mid-tones, because I want to be able to add much darker parts later. Always remember to know what direction you are drawing the shading in. So, for example, the upper eyelid is a plane, and the thickness of the eyelid is another plane, and try to draw all those shading parts in a proper direction. So if the plane of some element is facing down, then draw lines that show this. It's very important to show the form this way, because shading is not only a light and shadow, it's a way of sculpting with light. Now I'm using a 4B pencil. It's much softer and darker. B letter is black, so yeah, it's more black pencil. I will now add more details and much more darker parts, and you will see that this eye will look much more realistic. As you can see, I'm drawing eyelashes not as just straight lines. They are curved, and they are also showing the form of an eye. So focus on the reference and see how they are angled. Here maybe it's not very obvious, but I will show you how eyelashes should be drawn on the drawing from the front side. Here I'm drawing the most dark parts of the picture. So the pupil, I never know how to say that. Pupil is on the center part of the iris. It's a hole, so it's very black. Also, I'm adding a bit more shading to the iris. To the part under the upper eyelid, because there's usually a shade there. Also remember that the white part of the eyeball whites aren't completely white actually in the real life, so add also a bit of shading there. To draw highlights, you can use later some white paint, like gouache if you want, but I prefer to just leave them in the color of the background. So I'm drawing outline of the light part to create more contrast, and I just keep it light without any value. So yeah, I think that's a good way to draw lights, just to keep them in the color of the paper and outline them a bit to show that they are contrasted to the other parts, right? Okay, and now I'm drawing an eyebrow. As you saw before, I drew the outline of the whole eyebrow, and now I'm adding separate hair. It's very important to draw them in a proper direction. So from the front to the sides. Also on the upper part of the eyebrow there are sometimes some hair that are in another direction than the rest of them. So yeah, always focus on the reference and try to recreate what you can see. I think it's pretty realistic at this point. I think it's a correct drawing. I will add a bit more shading or hatching here or there to, you know, finish it. But yeah, I think that's the process. So first, searching for the outline with a harder pencil like HB. Then mid-tones, so simple shading, and then much darker value with more black pencil. If you want to add a bit more highlights, like here I'm showing the thickness of the bottom eyelid with light part, you can use moldable eraser or a thin tip eraser as I did here. As you can see, the bottom eyelid here is even too thick. But I do it on purpose because I like to show that I understand how the eye is built, and yeah, I kind of overdo this effect, but it's my decision. It's not realistic, but it's semi-realistic, and yeah, I just like this effect. Okay, so now I will show you a different angle of the eye and maybe a little bit different approach to draw it. As you can see, I didn't start from the eyeball, but I started from the very simple big shapes. So I like to draw just the area of eyebrow and eye that I can see, and later I'm breaking down the big shapes into smaller shapes. I think it's easier than to just try to figure out everything from the start. It's easier to just see big shapes and then break them into smaller ones. Okay, here the eye is from the front, it's visible from the front, so the iris will be a perfect circle. And to not deform the circle, I'm drawing a full circle, but as you know, it's covered, the top part of this iris is covered by the eyelid. But yeah, it's better. I think it's better to draw it this way and avoid any mistakes and drawing a deformed circle. And of course you can erase the top part of the circle later. Okay, so here's the thick eyelid again. I think it's also important to notice here that I'm not drawing just a smooth oval. As I said before, don't draw just almond or a fish shape as children do. But yeah, you can even draw a geometric eye. Even though it's a circle, you can draw it with, even though it's a ball, actually you can draw it with straight lines, as you can see here on the bottom eyelid. I drew eyelashes in a simplified form. So on the upper eyelid, you can see that at the center, the eyelash looks like a vertical line, or maybe a thin pyramid, because it's thicker at the eyelid and thinner at the ending. It's curved, of course, but when you see this from the front, it looks like a vertical line. And on the sides, you can see that those eyelashes are curved. The one on the right is curved to the right, and the one on the left is curved to the left. And also, if you're gonna draw more lashes between them, they will change gradually from those curved ones to the vertical one. And I'm gonna draw them later. It's just a base here to know how they are curved on the eye. I hope that's understandable. Okay, so I'm still breaking down the shapes. I'm not using only smooth lines, but also, like, as you can see under lower eyelid, there is like a curve, but created from two almost straight lines. Yeah, and I also like this effect. So not only very smooth lines, but also kind of geometrical shapes. It's not super realistic, but I think it looks even better than very realistic approach. Here I'm trying to hold a pencil in a more professional way. I think it's good to practice like this sometimes, because you should draw from the elbow or from the wrist. I don't actually know, because I'm not such a professional, but yeah, I think it's important to practice mobility of your hand, and why not now? Okay, so as in previous example, I already drew an outline, and now I'm drawing the midtones, the simple shading. There is also a shape of eyebrow, and it's kind of filled with lines that are kind of like hair, like they are in a direction of the hair growth, but they are not hair. They are just shade. This is just shading, and I will show the different approach of drawing an eyebrow later. Okay, and now the shading of the iris. I really like this method, that I'm drawing the spot of light on the dark part of the iris, and in the opposite there is a light part. I think it looks super realistic, and it's super simple. Yeah, it's because the iris and eye is built this way, and usually when you spot the light to the iris, it's reflected to the opposite side of the iris. There is a guide on my Patreon about that, so I hope I don't have to explain it very carefully, because I somehow I cannot find the words, but okay, I will link that if you want to read about it more. Okay, so now I'm drawing an eyebrow. It's a kind of different approach than in the first example. I'm kind of grouping the separate hair into thicker lines. Sometimes I drew eyebrows this way, and I like this. So you can see that they are like waves, like in a macro view, I don't know. but they are just kind of grouped hair. So direction is the same as in the first example, but there is just a different value of the lines. The eyebrow is usually darker at this part, at the front, and they are lighter on the sides. Usually, because of course the light can be different on any example, you know. I made a bit too much shading, so I'm using a moldable eraser to take off a bit of graphite from the drawing. And yeah, I can add more shading now, more dark value. Here I'm drawing eyelashes also in a similar way as eyebrows, so I kind of group them. I think it looks nice. If you draw too many lashes, it doesn't look very natural, so I'm just grouping them into... I don't know how to explain that, but I think you can see what I'm doing. Here a bit more shading, so I'm creating a depth and more dimensionality to the drawing. Here I will add a bit more shading to the sides because I want to show that, again, eyeball is a ball, so on the sides there will be more shadow. And again, I think it looks pretty realistic already, but I will add a bit more shading. You can stop anytime you want, of course. Yeah, I will add a bit more dark parts. Okay, so let's start to draw noses now. Noses are kind of like my favorite face feature to draw. I really don't know why, but I just really like to draw noses. Also, it's kind of difficult to explain how to draw noses because they are very abstract shaped. I mean, with an eye, you can explain that there is a ball shape covered with muscles and I don't know, a bridge of the eyebrow, but with nose, it's kind of like pyramid sticked to the face. I know it sounds weird, but that's how I imagine that. It's like a weird shaped pyramid stick to the face because all other features are kind of like merged with the face, but the nose is like a separate thing, like a separate shape. Of course, at the same time, it's a part of the face, you know, and you need to draw it like in a very natural way. I think that why I like to draw noses, it's because of their geometry. Also, they are at the middle of the face, so I think that I could really start a portrait from just drawing a nose. With just a correct drawing of a nose, you can draw a full portrait. I mean, that's how I see it, of course, but as you can see here, with this nose, I can move down and I can start drawing lips. I actually did it. And you can move up and start drawing eyes because you can measure the distances. I think I need to try it next time. Yeah, maybe I will draw a portrait from just starting with a nose without any other measurements. Okay, so what's important in drawing a nose is to draw nostrils like I do it in here, and they should be at the same level. The nose here is kind of visible from the bottom and from the side a little bit. So the nostrils are in two different shapes, but in perspective they should be at the same level. The order of drawing is kind of the same, so I did an outline, simple sketch of distances, measurements and proportions, and now I'm adding the shading. Of course, again, mid-tones and then much darker value. As you can see, it happens pretty fast. It's probably because I really like to draw noses and it's much easier for me than to draw eyes, and definitely much easier than to draw lips. Okay, so here I'm drawing an outline of the light part at the middle of the nose and shading around it. I think it's important to remember that in real life there are no very sharp outlines, very sharp contours. So try to not close all the shapes that you can see. If there is a strong contrast between light and shadow, you can draw a stronger contour. But if you can see that there is almost non-contrast between values, then you don't have to add contour at all. This way you will create much more realistic drawings. My friend Marta always says that she admires my geometrical noses, and she became my Patreon this month. So, cześć Marta, this is for you. Okay, so now we are going to draw a nose from the profile view. I don't know why, but before I used only 4B pencil. Probably I forgot about HB. So yeah, now I'm going back to this proper process. Here the shapes are very important. So the nostril visible from the side is kind of like a drop, that's how we call it, a water drop, a teardrop, or a 9 number shape. And here you can see I'm drawing the outline of the nose. And what I said before about geometrical shapes, I think it's kind of like with the second drawing of the eye I did today. So I'm not drawing only very smooth angles and lines, but my lines are created from straight lines. I mean, you can create a smooth angle, but with shorter, sharp, straight lines. Here again I'm creating a soft mid-tone shading. You need to observe your reference very closely, because I can tell you that, yeah, usually the shadow will be on the bottom part of the nose and here where I draw now. But yeah, it depends on the reference, on the light that is on the picture, or if you draw from life on your model. This nose is kinda too short, but I just don't want to mess the drawing that I have above it, so yeah, I'm just gonna draw this part. Now I'm starting to add darker details and shading. If you want, you can draw just with one pencil. I mean, you can draw your whole drawing with HB or with 8B. This is just how I do it. And it's not always the same. Sometimes I'm on a trip and I have only a piece of paper and HB pencil, and that is also enough. I think our skills are more important than the tools that we use. Yeah, don't worry if you have just one type of pencil and a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. You can be a great artist with just basic art supplies. As you can see here, I'm doing like a double outline. I do this very often with noses. So there is a contour of the nose and I add another contour. I think it represents reflected light. And yeah, I just do this very often. I like this effect. That's a piece of a style, like very small piece of a style, right? The things that we like. Another thing that I really like about drawing noses is drawing freckles. Even if on the reference there are not any, I just really like to draw those details. And when you draw freckles, you need to remember that they are also placed on the planes of the nose. So they shouldn't be drawn like as random dots. They should be shaped like they are lying on those planes. Also draw some of them lighter and some of them stronger, and they should have not very even shapes. Okay, and now I will draw lips. For a very long time, it was my least favorite feature to draw. I really don't know why. Probably it's because they are not made from very sharp geometrical shapes, but like from pillows. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but those are very soft, gentle shapes. They have to look very natural to be convincing. And yeah, they are very soft and subtle. And I don't think I'm very good in drawing things that are not very obvious. So for a very long time, I drew lips that were too pouted, like they were sticked to the face, like a nose. But I think I'm getting better at it. Right now, I can understand that the central line is very important, that the planes of the lips are more obvious than I thought. And yeah, right here I'm drawing lips from a 3/4 view. I'm trying to remember that they shouldn't have very strong contours. So yeah, I drew a very soft outline and I'm going directly to soft shading. I think it's very important here to remember that the upper lip is a plane that is facing down, and the bottom lip is very rounded plane here. You can actually divide the bottom lip into 3 planes. That helps me a lot. There is a plane facing down, like in here. There is a plane facing to the mouth, like here. And there is a plane that catches the most of the light. Also, I like to create cross-contour lines that show the volume of the lips. Also very important is the line of the mouth, like the line between upper and bottom lip. Because sometimes it's very thin, almost invisible, and sometimes it's darker. It's a place where lips are more open. The middle part is not so closed as the part on the sides. I like to draw some elements around the lips, like here, the second contour, because there is kind of like plane between upper lip and the skin above. You need to remember that lips are not placed on a flat plane of the face. They are like on the rounded surface. It's very important. It will help you to create more natural looking lips. If you would like to draw an average lips, you can think that there is a shadow on the upper lip and then under the bottom lip. It can help you if you want to draw from imagination, for example. But otherwise, try to focus on the reference and recreate the light and shadow that you see there. Lips are kind of created from the lot of shading, if you know what I mean, like from many mid-tones and subtle gradients. Yeah, probably that's why I think they are difficult to draw. Also, the light part on the bottom lip, I don't think it's created from like oval shapes or just lines. If you want to draw lips in a realistic way or semi-realistic, you need to see that those shapes are not very regular. So as you can see here, it's not a rectangular or an oval shape of this light part. Those are just some weird looking shapes. Okay, so now we're gonna draw lips that are smiling. And I think that this, not angle, but expression causes a lot of difficulties for many people. So what I like to do is, as always, keep it simple and start from big shapes. Just outline the area of the whole lips. Try to spot the central line and then break the bigger shapes into smaller ones. You can also measure that on the reference, the upper lip and bottom lip and the line of the teeth is in a kind of similar width. It has kind of similar width. I cannot pronounce this word. Like, they are wide in the same way. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just trying to break the bigger shapes into smaller ones. And then from the central line, I can draw the outline of the teeth. I'm trying to count how many teeth I can see and fit this number into the shape that I drew. Remember to think about the teeth like about a one-angled shape. When you're gonna draw each tooth separately, they will look very creepy, or at least weird. But with just drawing an outline from the top and the bottom, they will be fine. With teeth, it's kind of similar like with the whites of the eye. They are not completely white, so you can add a subtle shading there as well. But on this reference, they are very white. Like, I don't know if you've seen this episode of Friends when Ross got his teeth whitened. Yeah, she has very white teeth on the reference as well. Ridiculously white teeth. There is a lot of searching of the shapes, distances, proportions, so I'm using HB pencil, but also the shading here, the contrast between all those elements is very low, so I don't want to use very dark pencil here. Maybe later for some details, but I think it can be drawn mostly with HB pencil. When drawing lips, you can see that the most dark parts are usually on the corners. It's because they are deeper on the face and there is less light there. So yeah, I like to emphasize those parts and make them even darker. Also, teeth will like hide in the corners of the mouth when they're smiling, so yeah, these parts will be darker as well. I'm so super tired. I don't know if my voice changed here. I will check it later with editing, but yeah, I'm so tired. It's so late, but I really want to go on a vacation. I mean, right now I'm my own boss and I need to ask myself for permission to go on vacation, and I am a very strict boss. So yeah, I need to be careful to not become a workaholic. As you can see, I'm using a softer, darker pencil right now. I'm drawing outlines, and the darkest parts will be here, like inside the mouth, between lips and around the teeth. really like how those sketches are turning out. I didn't expect them to be so nice. Maybe I should practice more. Also, I like the size of them because usually when I draw a portrait that fits to one page of my sketchbook, the features are much smaller. But here, I can go nuts. I can draw very big noses, very big lips, and yeah, I like that. When you draw smiling lips, remember to add also some wrinkles, like those lines on the sides. The smile will be, the expression will be stronger with them. Also, as you can see, they have the same shape like the lips I drew previously, but they are kind of stretched. So the Cupid bow on the top lip is kind of like more flat and stretched. I think it's very important when you draw smiling lips that they are not so wrinkled, they are very smooth and stretched. That's very important. So also the light and shadow will be much softer. There won't be such a contrast there. As you can see here, I'm trying to remember that there are no such strong contours in real life, and I need to remember about that often when I draw lips, because they look much more natural when you erase some of the contour lines. Lips are smoothly connected to the face, so if they are not with a dark lipstick, they won't have very strong contours. And that's it. That's a whole page of face features. Let me know if you liked it, if you drew with me, and if you have any of your drawings, you can show them on Discord. I will be so happy to see them. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Bye!